Okay. We'd like to call this commission work session to order. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Dominic, Johnson,
Present.
Williams,
Here.
Ben,
Here.
Bowman,
Present.
Baker,
Here.
Mitch, Yesterday, Thibodeau,
Here.
Cox, Smith, Pepper.
Here.
We have four.
We have, please stand for prayer by Commissioner Bowman. And please by Commissioner Thibodeau.
All right, everybody heads. Father God, we come humbly with bowed heads, humble hearts to Master. Thank you for this day. Thank you, God, for this opportunity to be able to represent and serve people. Lord, please allow this meeting to be both productive and progressive, and help us to be able to represent and be the children that you have us to be. These are the blessings we ask to think in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Government pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is
We have citizen comments. I have no cards in my possession.
okay.
Do you have any? Move, there are no visitors, we move to reports. Administrative report.
Madam President, Commissioners, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We have a couple of things I want to brief you on. A couple of years ago, we applied for the LCBG grant process with Mr. Willie Washington's family. We had 78 homes up north of their Beldegill. And I'm pleased to announce that we just received Friday the $495,000 LCBG grant award to go with the $250,000 we got from the Community Resources Grant. So we have enough money to do the project. And that will impact 78 families up near the Beldegill water system. And 2 years, and thank God the money is here. So we'll let Mr. Willie Washington know, talk to Mr. Dominic already about it, and we'll invite them perhaps to a commission meeting and kind of let them know in person.
You say for Mr. Washington?
No, Mr. Willie Washington's family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a community of 78 people that he was the
Yeah.
spokesperson for, and he came to the commission meeting 2 years ago and asked for help.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, just want to let you all know that we received a clean bill of health on our annual audit report. Please say there were no findings of sort, that everything was done decent and in order and according to how we should run parish business. So I'm proud for that. Also, we have continued our legacy of receiving the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, and kudos to Ms. Erica and her staff for doing an excellent job of putting that together, and we received another award for that. I just want to share with you all, I had the opportunity, Mr. Randy Lucky and I, a couple of weeks ago, to go to a Swag Nation graduation ceremony up at the Lake Foundation Church, I think the Lake Community Baptist Church. And we had 88 young people graduated from that program. I was very impressed. And I get a chance to see a lot as a ministry, a lot of programs, but to see all those young people as sharp, very well mannered, and you can tell they've been influenced positively by a program that I pray they have a lasting impact. But my hats off to Commissioner Williams for helping orchestrate that. And very seldom we get to see the results of something that we invest in. But I think that was money well spent. And as I said, I'm proud of that. Be a part of the Cal Parish Commission is a proud of that, part of that program. Also, you should have your quarterly travel report at your stations. If anybody have any questions about that, please feel free to let me know. Otherwise, that concludes my report for the day.
Commissioner Dominic?
Woody, I just wanted to tell you thanks for you and the administration for all your hard work that everybody did, especially our grant writer helped out.
Miss Anita?
Huh?
Anita Mills?
Yeah. You know, it's a long time coming for that money to Mr. Willie Washington's
Yes, sir.
area.
Yes, sir.
But I appreciate, the commission supporting us. If y'all remember, that's been about 2 years ago when we started that project.
That's correct.
And I know Commissioner Smith is probably going to mention it, but we're going to have an oil and gas meeting Thursday to talk about the water issues, and this will be kind of part of it to consider what we can do to get that expedited and moving forward. So this is going to be a great thing in the northern part of the parish to especially help out those 75 families, minority families up there that are having problems with water.
Yes.
So appreciate everything that y'all done.
You're welcome, sir.
Is that it?
That's it.
Anyone else? Doesn't have any readings.
You don't see it?
I'm on it, but it ain't coming up. It shows on our screen.
Got that high price.
Commissioner Williams?
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
You too.
I'd just like to say that our recent convention in Fort Worth was very rewarding. Caddo Parish was represented very well on different committees. And a part of the Justice and Public Safety Steering Committee. One of the national problems facing America is they call it human trafficking, which is another way for modern day slavery, selling our young girls and businesses all over the country. There is a national program to maybe intervene on human trafficking in our country. That's something we need to be wise of. Our law enforcement need to get the heads up on what's going on in terms of that. It was a well-attended trip. Also share with other cities and other counties and other commissions regarding, we were networking and sharing ideas on youth programs. And, I had to step up to the plate and be the drum major for Swag Nation USA Incorporation. I was very excited to network and share that information with other judges, juvenile judges, and other commissioners. Also, I'd like to echo what our administrator has said regarding coming to the graduation. It's something to see when you make a wise investment into our future, and then hopefully don't end up back into the judicial system or back in jail. It's a national movement to prevent those type of things from happening. And one thing our young people need, they need positive mentors. There's not enough men in these families in America. These single mothers are doing their best. Most of these mothers don't have no type of male image in the home. Most of our young men are in jail or in prison or unemployed. So we have to fill in the gap. It's young men in our community to fill that gap so our young men can be productive, tax-paying, and tithing citizens in our community. Also, I would be having a Justice and Public Safety Committee meeting, a Juvenile Justice Committee meeting on Thursday. After the meeting, we will be discussing some on the agenda today regarding the Youth Promise Act, and we'll be discussing that as well. So I want to thank the Commission administration for, again, a fine job on financial reporting, and hopefully that Well Alive and Road project can be funded just like the other projects got funded as well. Hope it is a priority one concerning that project as well. So I just want to say keep up the good work, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Lynn?
Congratulations and thank you for everybody who played a part in providing the 78 homes with water in North Caddo Parish. That everybody deserves fresh water. And also thank you and congratulations to everybody involved with Swag Nation. That's all.
Well, you got swag today, man. I would tell you.
Commissioner Lynch, did you want?
Yes.
No,
Go
I just want to ditto what Doug said, and when you all get ready to do something special up there for that, let me know. I want to be there.
Okay.
I know Mr. Washington will probably bring him down here, not this Thursday, but sometime our next meeting. Yes, sir. We'll get the community come in. And I'm sure, once that project gets started off, we'll probably have a groundbreaking. That will probably be sometime in the future, but in the near future, hopefully I'll have him down here to, congratulate him, because, I mean, it's a good thing to say that, he came to us and kind of started this. Otherwise, we'd be, I may not even know anything about it other than, people up there not having good water. So that's what you need in the community, for people to step up and, really work with us and our commission body to get things done. It's a testament of his hard work and ability to do what he did.
Ditto. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Commissioner Cox.
Commissioner Cox.
Stephen, you don't have to get up. I want to need to see you after this. Junker Jim's doing his stuff again. They're on Wisteria and Jewella. Ms. Lynch, I believe that's in your area, but I got a couple phone calls after a Southern Hills Business Association meeting. Wisteria, like you're going into the ballpark.
Just make sure.
Okay.
But if it is my district, you need to refer them to me.
Okay. Well, he's a piece of work.
Take care of mine.
If you want to, I'll fill you in later after this with Stephen. Stephen's dealt with him before. Administration DEQ, did they ever get out to Bonnie Doon? Did you ever get a feedback on that?
No, sir. I mean, I did the second time that we talked, and I asked James to go out there to inquire as well.
James here today?
Yes. Yes, he is.
Hiding behind a pole.
Oh, they back there?
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
What can you tell me about
Bonnie Doon, the South Camp manager, went out to take a look at it. At the time, could not find any water in there. I checked with the health department. They say they saw some water at one point, but they couldn't tell where it was coming from. And the South Camp manager is also going to be checking about ditching for that area. There's a little debate whether the portion we're looking at, whether it's inside the city or it's out in the parish. So
Okay, I can tell you that's in the parish because we dealt with him about a year and a half ago. DEQ went out there and cited him for it, and now he's doing it again.
Yeah. So we're following up on it, and as soon as we get a definitive answer, we'll be able to get back with you.
Can you try to have something by Thursday, yes or no?
We can try.
Talk to him. I mean, the neighbors are upset. I mean, I would be too if I've seen crap rolling down the street.
Okay. You know, we should have something for you by Thursday.
Thanks, sir. I guess I would like Woody, your help, Lucky, your help. And this is something else that was brought up at the Business Association. The softball tournament, which is a great tournament for 6L, happens every year. But we had residents blocked in their own driveways because there was too many people parking down the streets in and around the ballpark. It's gotten worse and worse, and this year we actually had 2 people's driveway blocked. Couldn't get in, couldn't get out. And all the police department could actually say is, well, we'll try to go use the PA and call it. So that's a problem, and before next year's ball tournament, we need to have these residents something to go on.
Which park is this?
That's Cargill. I told them they needed to get in touch with Mr. Ron Webb too, the city councilman, and they were going to do that, but anytime somebody comes to me, you know, I feel an obligation to go ahead and look into it. So, but other than that, Junker Jim, the DEQ, and that, and I'm done. Thank you.
Mr. Thibodeau,
I did everything.
Commissioner Smith.
You heard Doug mention the meeting this coming Thursday at 2 o'clock. That's the beginning of the work for the Northwest Utility District. As you know, we've been talking about this for some number, almost years, and it's just now beginning to take place up there. And this is really an important event up there with the interstate coming through, and then hopefully someday, if we are around long enough, we'll be talking about the South Utility District. But this is a very important thing for the parish and really a big deal to get really started. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Commissioner Dominic.
Just want to let you know that on Friday, Todd did send a list of all of our committee meetings this week. There's several ones. A couple of them took place today. Lindora said she didn't get hers, but
I didn't get one.
Wednesday we're having a long-term range committee meeting at 1 o'clock. So if you're on that committee, I think Stephanie, you're on it. I can't remember who else is on it. But we need to try to be there because we're going to talk about the planning issue, and in particular the group that is going to do the proposal is going to be in town meeting with the MPC, but they also have flown in from out of state to go over the proposal and everything that they would do for planning along the I-49 corridor. Last couple of times we've had a short, we hadn't had a quorum, so we need to try to be there if we can, because that's going to be an important issue to finish looking at. It's 1 o'clock this Thursday. Wednesday, I'm sorry. This Wednesday. Thursday, oil and gas at 2.
No, it's not.
Starts at 1.
Late lunch.
Yeah, late lunch.
Commissioner Bowman?
Yes, Madam President. I just want to invite everyone again if they can. We're having a Queensboro neighborhood cleanup. We weren't able to complete it because it was raining, but I know it's going to be hot. But if everyone could come, or if you can just spread the word if you cannot come, I would greatly appreciate it.
So you eat, you feed?
Well, I don't know. You like to eat lobster and shrimp, sir.
Only if somebody else pays.
Maybe he can sponsor, huh?
Jam sandwiches.
Okay. Is that it? Commissioner Lynn?
On Thursday, we had a Parks and Recreation meeting. In attendance at that meeting, we had, of course, Parks and Recreation. We had Stacy Brown as a partner from the Convention and Tourism Bureau, Donna Curtis from Shreveport Green, Danny Salter with SWEPCO showing us the right tree in the right location. Ken Ward had discussed LA1 as the DOT's preferred site for us to put trees. Hallie Dozier spoke on the dilapidation of trees, and immediately after the meeting, Dr. Wilson explained that Caddo Parish loses 1 million trees per year, and so planting 10,000 trees would merely be a drop in a bucket, but it'd be one positive step forward in planting more trees in Caddo Parish. Commissioner Johnson was able to give us a report as far as what he knew as trees that were created VOCs to avoid in the planting, which we would definitely plan to avoid those trees as well. And Sheriff Steve Prater, though he didn't make it to that meeting, had promised before that he would provide trustees to do the manual labor of moving and loading and unloading trees. Also in discussion, we brought up that we were going to table all discussion concerning the dog park until Mayor Glover's legal matters have been resolved. And we brought up the UCP Sports Complex in North Caddo Parish and discussed that along with all of the parks that we already have in place. And Dr. Wilson was going to touch base with Camaris to see if he could help us piece all those puzzles together on how we can best serve the community with the parks that we currently have and with proposed parks, that as well as the zoo. The meeting stretched for 2 hours long, and Commissioner Epperson actually pulled the discussion of the zoo, which was the last on the agenda, and we hope to bring that up as well as the foundation, more foundation on the 10,000 trees in Caddo Parish relatively soon. Thank you, Madam President. That's my report.
Commissioner Epperson?
On Saturday, myself and Parish Attorney-elect, newly appointed Donna Frazier and I were invited to a back-to-school program at Greenwood Community Center. Very well attended. A lot of boys and girls from that area. We appreciate her taking time out of her schedule to come out and share with the citizens in that area. Also today we had a property standards meeting. Basically we met with a member from the Metropolitan Planning Commission to clear up some answers relative to the 5-mile zone of the Metropolitan Planning Commission. And there's also some more information that we are seeking from the Supreme Court relative to our constables and justice of the peace that we will be bringing up in the near future of the property standards meeting.
Thank you. Anyone else? At this time, we're going to ask if Sheriff Prater would come and give us a report. He was asked about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good afternoon. How are y'all today?
Good afternoon.
Well, I was asked a couple of weeks ago, and I don't remember which one of you asked that I come to the meeting and present
I think it was Commissioner
Epperson.
Who was it?
Epperson.
Oh, okay, good. Asked that I give kind of an update on how crime is going in the parish, and so I thought this would be a good opportunity to go ahead and just put on a very short presentation about some of our relationships between you all and us all, between the Sheriff's Office and the Caddo Parish Commission. Go ahead and take that off.
Sheriff, you clean, you got swag, Sheriff, you look nice. I like
Thanks. Appreciate
Sheriff
that.
got swag.
All right, don't forget that. The first thing we do is, the first relationship I guess I'll talk about very quickly is the building security that we have gradually taken over, the courthouse, the Bickham building where the DEA is, and the juvenile justice complex over there, the juvenile annex, and also the courthouse. We have done that in a way that we have post-certified deputies. They're armed, they're trained, most of them are retired and know how to deal with people, and which means a lot, and they're very efficient, and it gives you a lot of safety. Just this year, or the last 12 months alone, they have recovered what we consider to be or could be used as weapons. We're not saying they were all to be used as weapons, naturally, but 3,200 items were seized. That's everything from mace to tasers to guns to firecrackers to knitting needles to large knives, razor blades, ring razors, and that's, like I say, 3,200 items that we kept out of a courtroom or a victim possibly getting hurt by a suspect or a domestic situation or a judge getting hurt. So we're very proud of the work that they do there. We also supply security for this building, although there's no searches, as you know, coming into this building. We have our folks that do the garage and the entire building and meetings. So we have a good relationship there, and we appreciate working so closely with the commission on that, and I know that we're providing you a very good service. I-49 is about to be opened up, as you just spoke of, and as we just talked about. It's 31 miles. I-49 North, 31 miles is going to be opened up very, very soon. We're patrolling some of it now. It's got 9 exits, 8 overpasses, and 9 bridges. There's a lot to it. We started some 2 years ago. My safety unit, my traffic unit started at what's called the North I-49 Safety Coalition. And it's the fire departments, the district fire departments, the Shreveport Fire Department, state police, and any other entity that has anything to do with I-49. We began to meet because we know there's going to be a lot of work, a lot of problems. I've had to take a lieutenant and 2 deputies, and they're assigned to nothing but that coalition and getting ready for the wrecks. We are one of the only parishes, if maybe the only parish in the whole state that work our own wrecks. Most of them, as you know, the state police works all the wrecks in Bossier and Webster and all of the other places. We work our own wrecks here in Caddo Parish. We are fully trained and have the most sophisticated software, and occasionally they will come and ask us at the state police to review or to look, so we work close with them, but we work our own things. That's why between hazardous material being transported, dope, narcotics, wrecks, and everything else you can imagine, we're going to have a lot more work to do on I-49, which brings up an interesting thing. One is I just want each of y'all to be comfortable with your, what we call SOB ordinance, which is a sexually oriented business ordinance. And so I want you to be comfortable with what the Parish Commission currently has. If you're within a half mile, you can't be any closer, but you've got a half mile between churches and sexually oriented business, etc., and you can establish a sexually oriented business according to the parish ordinance. Make sure you're comfortable with that, with what you have, and make any changes if you feel like looking at it and doing it, because I don't want us to get like as you drive to Dallas and you see all of the XXX rated movies for rent here and some of the other places. It's real tempting to put something like that, like a bar, I started to call it something else, but a particular bar that would have that type of activity in it, or a place of business, maybe not a bar, a restaurant as they had in East Texas, but it's out in the rural areas, easy to get to with interstate. So you got the best things going if you want to sneak out there and set up a place like that. And so be comfortable with the ordinance that you have, that you're protecting the people along the I-49 corridor. And also, as you know, if it's an incorporated area, like many of these exits are, then y'all can't go in and make the laws for the sexually oriented business inside that incorporated area. So a place like Ida or some of the other places, they don't have anything. There's no sexually oriented business type of, so I would suggest that you consider just warning them, being a legislative body yourself and talking to another legislative body. I would think that you would want to at least enter into a discussion with them or make sure they're okay, because that's just always concerned me. I don't want us looking trashy up north. Anyway, that's I-49, underage alcohol operations. We're still doing 30 to 40 every time we go out, and we still catch 5 to 6, but I appreciate the consistency and the way that y'all have continued to back us up with the hearings and do things consistently throughout the parish, and I think it's making a big difference. I know on the ABO cards, in 1 month last year, we had 50 that applied for ABO cards. This last in the same time period, 150. So we've tripled the number of people that are applying for ABO cards because we're out there making them have them. And that's because they know that y'all are going to treat it seriously if they don't. So I appreciate that very much. We'll move to CCC quickly, and as you know, we keep some DOC prisoners, state prisoners out there. We keep quite a few out there, but we have a relationship with y'all, and we say that we'll only keep a certain percentage. And as the total population of CCC goes down, that percentage goes down also, or the percentage stays the same, but the numbers actually go down. Regardless of that, if we were to pay $7.25 or about minimum wage for every hour that the DOC prisoners work, mainly for the commission, but for the sheriff's office also, but regardless of who they work for the taxpayers, then we've saved just last year alone $1.5 million. And I've got a listing, and you get that each month from me, of where we use them. So I think we're using the ones that we keep to our advantage. A minute ago, I think Commissioner Lynn referred to them as trustees. We don't call them trustees because we don't trust them. They're out there for a reason. We call them inmate workers, not trustees. And so we don't trust them, but we work them. And there's a lot of good folks out there, and they turn a lot of good work also, and it gives them an opportunity to get out. None are work that are violent or sex offenders or anything. They're not allowed outside the compound like that, so we work them inside the compound. The reentry center also out there. The labor on our reentry center, and we were the first in the state to have a reentry center. The state built us a building out there, and we use prisoners that are about to be let out into the community, and they've done, since we started that, they've done over $200,000 in projects for different governmental entities, including the commission, for us, and for the state museum and other nonprofits. They've done a world of work for the Caddo Council on Aging, taking care of our older people. We're proud of that. Okay, litter is the next thing. When Fort Wade closed, the state gave up and quit picking up litter on state highways, basically up here. They didn't have a workforce. And so we began to help with the litter on the state highways. We help in the city sometimes. If there's a particularly egregious place in the city, we'll go in and pick up and clean in the city, because it's all Caddo Parish. And also the parish roads. The only ones we bill the Caddo Parish Commission for is our actual time that we're working on parish roads. Even though the state is in Caddo Parish, but that was the deal that we always had, is I'd just bill y'all for what we'd pick up on parish roads. And on the average year, and like last year, we picked up 90 tons of litter. 90 tons, that's a lot of litter we picked up, and we billed y'all back about $45,000, or less than the salary of a deputy with benefits. So I think that worked out pretty good, the relationship there. So you're getting your bang for your buck, and plus the sheriff's office doing a lot more than we're billing for, just because we want it to look nice too. Our probationers, they worked 760 hours That's not included in that 90 tons. We identified 218 dump sites in the parish because of an effort that I started where deputies, we have a deputy that actually investigates the dump sites if we find one. We had 103 that he was able to go through and find out who the offender was. And they came back and cleaned the dump sites up, and we had 113 that CCC that we then sent prisoners out to clean up the dump sites. So we're trying to do our best to do that as far as keep a clean parish. We'll move to the population of parish prisoners. I want to read something before I show you a graph. It's it's 2 sentences out of the Bureau of Justice Statistics, federal program that keeps up with statistics for the Department of Justice. And they said 2 weeks ago that prison populations fell in 9 states: California, Texas, North Carolina, Colorado, Arkansas, New York, Florida, Virginia, and Maryland. Inmate counts increased in other states, including Louisiana. All right, would you put the graph on now, the first completion? Okay, if you'll look, I think you have the handout. Oh, I think you will have the handout just a minute, of that same graph. And that is an extremely significant graph. If you'll look at 2009, this is the actual parish prisoners, not the state prisoners. These are the parish prisoners. We had 1076. If you'll remember in 2008, toward the middle of 2008, I came to you and I said, if we don't do something, we're going to have a $100 million prison built because we were maxed out on our room. We had 1,500 prisoners. So we began, I started this criminal justice coordinating committee. If y'all will remember all that, we had the big deal at the Skybox. That was in 2009. And you see the blue lines, you see how the parish prisoners have come down? And that is extremely significant. If they had remained the same, just in the $3.50 that you pay us, you would have paid $733,000 more. That's how much you've saved. But that does not include medical.
Yeah.
That doesn't include anything else. So we have saved the citizens of Caddo Parish and the Caddo Parish Commission literally, well, I won't even say a figure, but well over $1 million. I don't know how many dollars we've saved. And so I'm very proud of that. A minute ago I said I started it. I was the whistle that began to blow, but we needed the whole train to get behind it. And I called the DA and told him to come up here. I would have called the judges, the defense attorneys, the indigent defenders, like I said, the judges, the probation and parole, the commission. We had a number of y'all that came to different meetings. So there's been a lot. There's been a big group of people that everybody had to work together to get this done. And I'm very proud of the results. We have another meeting coming up sometime in September to talk about where we are and how we're doing and what we can do to keep this down. And so I think that y'all should be very proud of the efforts that we've all gone through, including yourselves, to save money for the citizens of Caddo Parish. It's been very, very productive. And in addition, we didn't have to build a $100 million jail, which is what the bid, or not bid, but the rough estimate came in. So we're doing good, especially when you think the rest of the states, their prison populations are going up. Ours is coming down. Well, I immediately, and this will bring us to why you had asked me here, and it's about crime. So I looked at that chart and I said, uh-oh, maybe we're not arresting people. We don't know, maybe because I told you before when I came up here that the best way to control crime is by making arrests when there is crime. And so I said, maybe we're not as aggressive in law enforcement, and that's why the numbers are down. Well, if you look at the next chart, there's only 3 charts. That right there are the number of inmates booked on average at CCC. So you see in the same period of time that our parish prisoner population has come down so drastically, we're out there aggressively policing. And so what we meant to do, which was to manage our prisoner population to our advantage and still impact crime has been a success. And so that made me feel very, very good that we're still out there doing what we're supposed to do, what we get paid to do, and we're also taking care of the money. And so I think I had a campaign slogan that said, tough on crime and careful with your money. And that's what I like to be known for, and that's what we are. And I think the whole criminal justice system, and like I say, the DA, I'd asked him to come up here to take some of the accolades too, along with some of the others, the judges, etc. Which gets us to the final and very brief breakdown. If you'll turn to the next. There's your crime rate for the last 12 years. And it's a 32% drop in 12 years. And it's continued to come down, except it dropped every year, I believe, except maybe this year it went up by 1 point. We should have lied about something and just not file a report or something. But I think that's significant. When you have your prisoner population controlled, you're saving money, your arrests are up, and your crime is down, then you're hitting on all 8 cylinders or however many they have these days. So I'm very proud of that. In addition to the other things we won't get in today, but the way that we collect taxes, the way that we handle probationers, the way that we handle our civil end and subpoenas, and the way that we do everything else that we're charged with doing as a sheriff's office. And I think it's something that Caddo Parish should be very proud of, the men and women of the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office. Do you have any questions?
No, we do.
You do?
Yes, they do. Commissioner Williams?
Sheriff, I just want to thank you for your presentation and, looking swag as you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate, as a commissioner, one of the things that's disturbing to me is how our prison population has been overcrowded over the years. And I always believe that we need to get out our most violent offenders off the streets. Drug addicts, drug killers, armed robbers, rapers, and those people. We need to find a better way to manage our system. And I see that the sheriff and the DA and the others have got together and came up with a better managing system of managing our facilities. And that's why all throughout America you see, since 1960, especially in juvenile crime, it's down. But also I see in adult crime is down. So I want to commend you on the work you've done to manage your prison in the 21st century and to recognize that building jails is just not the answer. For every dollar you spend in prevention, you save $5. That comes out of the Department of Justice. So whatever we're doing here in Caddo need to be a model for the rest of the country. Because not only are you saving the taxpayer, but you are improving the life and the quality of life of young men, and not making them career criminals and career in a correctional facility. I even came out and spoke to a group before when you had Miss Darby, and I spoke to some young men. I told them the real hard facts. Hopefully they don't end up back into the system. So you have a lot of great alternatives in the prison system. I know it's a holding facility, but you still have programs for them. I commend you on the sheriff camp as well. I'd like to get our young men to learn about the sheriff camp, learn about gun violence and acts of guns. So here again, I want to commend you and seeing a negative 32% down. That means our faith-based and our community-based organization are all working together to ensure that we get our most violent offenders off the street, but also give another person hope that they can go out into the community, do community service, and maybe not end up back into the criminal justice system. So I just want to commend you and the others, the DA and the judges, and our probation officers and our DA, assistant DAs where the rubber meets the road, those probation officers that are out there trying to provide alternatives. So I just want to commend you and hope keep up with it.
Thanks.
Commissioner Lynn?
Thank you for showing up today. I had a friend who was a counselor with your reentry program, and he said that it really did change lives, from teaching job skills to interview skills to everything else that y'all are teaching out there. Also, thank you for the commitment of your jailed workers,
inmate workers,
for the tree planting and the moving around of that. And one question slightly off subject, The young man that did the emergency landing of the airplane on I-49, he was able to take that airplane off, or did they disassemble it?
You took it off next day.
He took it off the next day.
That's all, Madam President.
Commissioner Escaday?
Sheriff, you're talking about your I-49, your task force and all. Do you anticipate when that opens? What's an increase in traffic do you anticipate in North Caddo? Do you have a number? We've already got a lot on 1 and 171. Some of that's going to shift, but obviously some people are going to take advantage of having the interstate now. Do you have any idea?
No, sir, I couldn't. I would imagine that, as you would suspect, the Department of Transportation probably has those numbers, but I'm not familiar with how much more it's going to actually increase.
And of course, it should be safer. Interstate's safer than the highways, you'd think. Yeah?
It all depends if you're texting or not. Yes, it is, but you're going faster. So there's a lot of, things like that.
You know what the speed limit is going to be posted along that stretch?
I believe
70,
it's going
75?
to be 75, I believe. But
That's what.
I'm sure Mr. Dominic could tell you, but you had mentioned the, SOBs and type of businesses that you didn't want along the corridor you prefer not to see. We've taken that into consideration. As Commissioner Lennon, I've been working on the city's master plan committee with the UDC. We're going to meet with them, the same consultants, Camiris and Associates, to go ahead and absorb the I-49 corridor north into this. I think we're going to go 3 miles each side. So
That's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
Meeting Wednesday.
Yeah, we're meeting Wednesday so that we can specifically prohibit and restrict and lay out what we want on these interchanges and exits. You don't have to go to Texas. You can go, I think, between here and Mendon or here in Ruston, you've got a couple of these, used to be Stuckies, and now they're, whatever they are, selling, different type of implements or whatever. And that's not good. So we're going to address that. And as part of the meetings that Camiris and them are going to have, they're going to have meetings with the stakeholders in Ida, in All City, in Rodessa, who are incorporated, and work with them so that they can blend these restrictions into their existing laws and ask them what they want. So they're going to be very much included in it so we can have hopefully uniformity all the way up to the border. And I think it's very necessary. I guess I'll go ahead and kiss your rear like everybody else, and since I'm standing in line, and just tell you how wonderful you are.
I don't know if I was doing that.
But I'm going to tell you, having sat through these...
Swagging?
No, he looks like a Southern gentleman politician. I love the Sickers.
You want one, you're jealous.
Yeah, I do want one. A straw hat, but whatever.
this isn't, I'm not the police chief and you're not the council. I don't have to be here.
I know. But I think Commissioner Cox and I and Commissioner Pearson had probably worked early on from the time this joint group was set up with the DA and the courts and all to try to get the population down, and I'm proud of the work that everybody's done, and everybody bought into it, and everybody has in some form or fashion contributed their part that led to it, and it wasn't one individual thing. Certainly it was your commitment to try to get the census down, the DA's commitment to decide, should we really have this person in here because he can't post $500 bail and he's not going to hurt anybody, to, in particular, Judge Marcotte's help when he'd run the rocket dockets and clear all those things out. And it's benefited us all. And the nice thing about it is it has allowed the parish, which I'm proud to say, to save resources that aren't spent on that and return them to you so that you can improve your facility with technology and cameras and things like that. You just much better. So savings on one end allows us to be more diligent on the other, and appreciate your partnership, and I'm very glad to say that we didn't have to have a $100 million prison, because I'll tell you now, I wasn't going to stand and hold your hand and help you sell it. You on your own there, buddy. So I'm glad this has worked out.
I wasn't going to be out there either. Y'all the ones that got to supply to jail.
Yep, that's right. Well, guess what? It wasn't going to get any bigger.
Ain't no more people.
But anyway, I appreciate your hard work and your crew, and I think we enjoy a good relationship, and I'm proud to have you, and proud to have DA Scott here, and you know, we should be an example to other parishes about, you know, when you want to work collectively together and collaborate, that, you know, you can change things, and we've changed things, and hopefully that'll continue, but you never know. But thank you. I appreciate you, everything you do.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Commissioner Cox?
When Ms. Lynch and I came on in 2004, your department and this commission was not seeing eye to eye. And over the years, we have taken it from one extreme to...
I don't remember that.
I do. Believe me, when we came on board, we were sat in the corner and said, we're going to do this. Well, why are we going to do that? That's overtime. But anyway, it's all gotten better. And you have done a great job. Two things. Illegals. How do we handle them? And, I mean, when you read the Bible, the Inquisitor every week, see who's in jail, and you see 1 to 5 illegals arrested. How bad is the problem, and what are we doing here in Caddo Parish? I went to Arizona, saw what they deal with. I'd like to know what we're doing here.
That's a very difficult law to even discuss, because there are so many variables. For instance, if I get a phone call and someone says there's an apartment complex that's being built next to my home, and I look over and it's all Hispanics and I know they're illegal. Well, my first question to myself, because I'm not going to argue with this particular person or question them, is how do you know that they're illegal? And no, we don't have a right, we don't have in law enforcement, we don't have a right. I couldn't come to you and say, prove to me, David, that you have papers to be in the United States. Mm-hmm. I don't have that any more than I could come to you, that's federal.
Right.
Any more than I could come to you and say, show me your income tax form from last year. Now, the federal government can do that, okay? We can't. And we're not going to start doing their job for them until somebody breaks the law. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to start checking wallets and things like that, as you know.
Yeah.
But then it makes you wonder, are you doing everything that you're supposed to do as the sheriff? And there's some sheriffs around the nation that posture themselves and say, we're going to do this, you know, or we're going to do that, but the truth of the matter is we're sworn to uphold the laws and the Constitution, and the laws don't give us the authority to go out there and start checking where you're from. Now, when you see the ones normally in the Inquisitor or in our jail, it has to do with the driving offense. If they are driving, there is a state law that says driving without a lawful residence inside the United States, and it is a felony. Now, so therefore, the DA can choose to handle those as felons, and we could have a backlog in the jail, or we put them in jail, we notify the ICE, Immigration and Customs, and they come and get them and interview them. And what they do now is, instead, they used to take them all down to Oakdale, and then they would be deported. Now, so they take some to Oakdale and they deal with them down there, but some they release here. And so I mean, we don't want to spend our time out there, you know, filling up our jail with somebody that doesn't have a residence in Louisiana if they're fixing to be released anyway, if they're not criminals, but yet they need to have a Louisiana license and insurance on their vehicle. So, as with so many other things, there's got to be a lot of discretion used, and we've got a lot of resources that we need to be using on armed robbers and people sagging and people selling crack and doing, you know, other things that we have deemed, you know,
more important.
Right, more important. So, or maybe not more important. Maybe it's just, like I say, it's a very difficult topic.
Yes, sir.
And you won't get every sheriff to say the same thing.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been studying that, and what bothers me is I mean, we have illegals everywhere in this country. But what bothers me is when I read the paper and one is drinking and driving and has a wreck and hurts somebody. One, don't have insurance, here illegal, and two, what's for that person to go back on? So I'm going to do more research on this. I would love to get with you to sit down and tell you what I found out, what other counties in this country is doing, and maybe we can do something here. But like you said, I understand federal law.
And we'll include the DA in this too, because they wouldn't just release that person.
No.
I mean, you know, it's.
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm not suggesting that a person had a wreck or hurt somebody and DWIs and all that. So
Yes.
It's just a balancing act to try to keep things going.
Okay, thank you.
You said two things.
Well, as an auxiliary deputy, I appreciate everything you do for the auxiliary force that you have, and they're just good organizations. So
The auxiliaries last year worked, I think 200,000 hours, the auxiliaries and reserves last year. That's over the last 4 years, I'm sorry. That would be like if you had an extra 15 deputies every year on the street. We get volunteers from our community, and that impacts crime. 200,000 hours.
Yep.
That's working wrecks, that's working storms and festivals and fires and everything that you can imagine. So we appreciate what the auxiliaries do.
thank you.
Commissioner Dominique?
Sheriff, I just wanted to say a couple things. I know that first you started off talking about all the, I guess, guns and knives and things that y'all get from the courthouse, and you protect the judges and everything, but you got to say you protect the lawyers, so anyway, I appreciate you protecting me. You probably say lawyers are lizards and don't need to be protected, but I know that you regularly send us a letter, and I just want to know that I know I and these other commissioners read the letters that you send us, and you know I sit there and look, and it's kind of comical because I oftentimes say, "Good gosh, I can't believe anybody would have sense enough to take box cutters or a knife or a gun at the courthouse," but they do. And the public needs to know that y'all are doing an outstanding job preventing that, and with the crime issues that y'all are taking. You did mention that y'all have a waterway deputies that patrol Caddo Parish Lake, Red River, stopping people drinking while boating, Earl Williamson Park, our parks there. You know, we always have great things to say or hear about the deputies on the waterways too, and we'll continue to work, as Commissioner Escudé said, to meeting Wednesday on the issue about the I-49 corridor. I do think IDA does have a SOB ordinance. I don't know I can't keep up with all of them, and I think IDA did adopt one. I don't know about the other municipalities, but I'll try to check with them and see. You know, Halston would be a good one because they're pretty close to where those interchanges are going to happen. So. Anyway, I appreciate everything you do, and your deputies, y'all doing a great job.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jefferson?
Thank you, Sheriff Prater, for being here today. My reason for asking you to come and give that report, we're in the process of ratcheting up whatever we can do to enhance economic development as well as quality of life, and as well as get more residents into West Caddo Parish. And I'm certainly elated to see this drop of 32%. And I'd like to give you an invitation now. We will be holding an economic development summit in the near future, and we certainly would like for you to be present there. To the person that we'll invite, some potential business persons, people that might live in the area, and you know we're trying to get something going in General Motors plant, so we can do all that we can do to enhance the quality of life in Caddo Parish. And nothing does that better than when someone look at low crime statistics. And I'm certainly glad of what I've seen here today. Glad to have been a part of it as president of the commission a few years back. We attended the meetings that we had with the DA and all the law enforcement and all parties involved. And it appears as though that has come to fruition and it's working. So I offer myself to do all that I possibly can, and the persons within my particular district, to continue this downward trend in crime. Thanks again.
You might check with Dr. Wilson and Mr. Grubb about whether they want me around economic development.
Anyway, Commissioner Thibodeau?
Sheriff, I have a couple questions on your numbers. Where crime falls down to 1,705 in 2012, is that the number of crimes? Is that the number of convictions? What is that?
That's the number of reported crimes.
Reported crimes.
Total number of crimes, that's violent crime and property crimes totaled together.
Okay, so that wouldn't be DWIs and things like that?
No, sir. It's called Part 1 crimes, and that particularly is Part 1 and Part 2.
That's because I saw where you arrested or booked 9,738 people, and there was only 1,705 crimes, and I was wondering what happened to.
A lot of them are nuisance crimes, like
Yeah, okay.
if there's something that the deputy actually goes out and initiates, like a concealed weapon or carrying a weapon, a felon with a weapon or something like that, and the deputy happened to find it, that's not something that was reported as a crime, that was a self-initiated, or a DWI, possession of marijuana, arrests like that, because then the more aggressive that your department was, the more crimes it would look like you had.
Right.
So those are just things where somebody picks up the phone, calls in and says, I've been a victim of a particular crime. Plus, those are City of Shreveport numbers also in the jail bookings. Okay, it's not in the crime numbers, but the bookings, because we hold all felons. And so in Shreveport, when there's a burglary on Lister Street, then Shreveport takes that prisoner and books them into our jail.
I see. Okay.
And so then y'all immediately start paying $3.50 a day for it, but it's not a crime that occurred in Caddo Parish. But even in Shreveport, crime has come down. I know it has, I don't know to that extent and that consistently, but it's come down in Shreveport. If you remember, I don't know how many homicides we had in the city of Shreveport last year. I think maybe 20, let's just 22, okay? In 1993, the second year I was the police chief, we had 87 in Shreveport. Remember those days?
I remember those days.
When the gangs were coming, and so now we say we had 22 homicides, and 22 is way too many. I don't mean to diminish that. But 22 compared to 87, you know, we're doing good. We're doing good.
Well, I just want to say that Caddo is fortunate to have you as sheriff and to have Charles as DA. I think we're fortunate to have that combination of people out there that are trying to get the bad guys off the street. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Bowman?
Yeah. Unfortunately, being last, you kind of sound like repeating everybody else's statement. But first of all, I just want to commend you and the department and even DA Scott, because 32% is like significantly phenomenal, and that means something's working right, and maybe this could be a model for other parishes to follow as well. So just want to commend you on the work that you've been doing prior to this report and continue to do. And did you have an actual date for that I-49 extension opening?
No, sir. It's going to open up in sections, and it's begun to be light opened up now. It's so there's not. They hadn't told us exactly when.
Yes, sir.
When the whole thing's going to be done, but well, I appreciate that.
Commissioner Williams?
I would just like to say, I like the fact, Sheriff, you and the immigration in our community. America has seen a classic act of profiling. It's not something we've been good at lately. I'm glad that you have addressed the immigration issue here in Caddo. However, my last comment would be on human trafficking. That's something that in my committee meeting in the national committee that they discussed. Do we have a human trafficking problem here in Caddo or in Bolge or in the region that you know of?
It's hard to, I don't want to give a long answer, y'all got a lot of stuff to do, but it's hard to, when you come out with a new term, in law enforcement, and I guess in any profession, all of a sudden it becomes vogue. For instance, drive-by shootings. Before that law was passed, it was always against the law to drive by and shoot somebody's house. All right, carjacking. Okay, carjacking. It was always against the law to arm rob somebody and take their car. But we have to come up with a new term, a new law, and then that becomes vogue because somebody's writing a paper or doing something. Now, I'm not saying that crime trends don't change. But we've always had pimps here. We've always had prostitutes.
Yes.
And so we've always had some of this going on. And no, Shreveport and Caddo Parish does not have a problem with human trafficking.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
And on the juvenile thing, when y'all have your meeting, would y'all consider ratcheting up trying to get the APHIS machine for us? Because every day we have to shut our CCC down in order to book a juvenile, because we don't have an APHIS machine out there, and it's y'all, y'all, I think you, AFIS, Automated Fingerprint Identification System, that ties directly in with the state. It's necessary to have someone book these days. And I think y'all are working on it. I was just going to remind you of it, that we need that, because it's forbidden for a juvenile to be in sight or sound of an adult prisoner. And so we have to clear out everybody in booking, as we're trying to book 10,000 prisoners. And we have to clear out everybody in booking in order to book one at CCC and then immediately take them to juvenile court. So I think that y'all are aware of it, but I'd say it's...
Yes, sir. We're ready to move out on that, Sheriff.
Okay.
As long as we can get the equipment. Okay. Our folks have been met with your folks and been trained, whatever. So we are ready to move out on that.
Good, good. And
It's not an app for that? I mean, come on. No, there's going to be an app for that.
we do have one like that we take the search
sophisticated than that,
warrants,
sir.
and every person in the search warrant lays their finger on it and tells who it is, if they've ever been handled. But 32% is significant. Thank you. That would mean if Randy Lucky was to lose 32%, he'd weigh 140. That's significant. Thank you.
We didn't go that low. We didn't go that low. About 180. Thank you, Dr. Jackson.
Chair Prater.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wanted to kind of piggyback on something.
Didn't mean to. I thought
Mr.
you were.
Dominic said, dealing with the weapons.
Yes.
And those weapons are coming from places in which you have metal detectors
Yes.
and sheriffs standing at the door.
Yes,
But when you come into Government Plaza, we don't have that.
that's correct.
So it makes me think that what kind of weapons are coming into this building while, we have our meetings, while you sitting in your office, while the other city and parish employees are sitting in their office as well, without having any type of metal detection or screening device when people come in. I know people come in for all different type of reasons, but we also have to look at the safety of the parish and also the city employees, and also people that sit around this horseshoe, whether it be commission, city council, MPC, zoning board. And I know some of my colleagues don't feel the same way that I do about it, but if you look at the news throughout the United States, you have people who get upset about a vote that went a certain way and they react to it totally different. And if they sitting in this chamber or sitting in a chamber already, it's too late.
Yes.
So kind of want to see, and probably get with you a little later on to see some of your thoughts of how we can strengthen the security of the building as people come in.
Yes, well, we're ready to. We gave, as you might remember, I don't know if you were on the commission at the
I
time.
got here in 2010, so.
Oh, yes. Well, there was quite some discussion trying to get the city and the parish and the governing bodies to decide exactly the level of security. They didn't want someone to have to go through a magnetometer, a metal detector in order to pay the water bill.
Right.
But then that's a different story coming into these chambers. I certainly think that these days and times it's unfortunate, but I think you ought to have more security in this chamber, because the time you identify a gun, it's too late. It's too late. And so I'll give you options, but like I said, it's y'all's decision.
Okay.
What level that you want in the building. We're not, but that's a good point. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Lynch.
Yeah, I almost feel obligated to say something, but certainly, I think a few years ago, your slogan was actually "Rehire me," right?
Right. Yes.
And certainly, you've done a good job. I don't think that'll be a problem. We'll rehire you.
Thanks.
You don't have term limit.
But certainly, I too want to thank you for stepping up a few years ago when we brought the idea back from NACO, National Association of Counties, to continue working to, reform or, improve upon our criminal justice system. We were able to get that grant that, kind of was the catalyst to some of the work that's been done
Right.
since that time. And of course, we just got back to Fort Worth a week and a half ago, so we got some more ideas.
Okay,
to
good.
bring him, and I think you'll be excited about them, so I look forward to discussing those with you in a couple of weeks. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Prater, for all that
That it?
you've done. I really appreciate you. And I was just thinking, you said they didn't want them to go through the metal detectors to pay their water bill. With the water height, they might. The water bill went up, it might change that. Thank you so much. Judge Scott, did you have?
Yes, sir. Yes, guy.
Good afternoon,
No.
Madam President, members of the commission. I'm glad to be here. I appreciate the remarks made by Sheriff Prater, and I really appreciate the stats that show that the saving of the money. I do want to tell you that I'm refreshed to hear the SOB term used around here, sexually oriented businesses. I thought it was reserved for those of us that prosecute in a criminal court, because that's generally the term that they use. Commissioner Epson mentioned economic development and quality of life, and that's what we're about. I think with the cooperation between the DA's office, the Sheriff's office, the Police Department, the Parish Commission, Juvenile Court, and everybody involved, what we're all striving to do is increase the quality of life for Caddo Parish. Whether we're talking about saving money, saving tax money, by reducing the number of unsentenced prisoners at the jail, or processing more quickly those that have to go through the system, whether we're talking about helping those who are fighting the cycle of addiction by getting treatment rather than jail. We're working on all of that. Judge Marcotte and the judges have been very, very helpful in moving the cases by setting reasonable bonds, and we very much appreciate that. It all helps. But it wouldn't have happened without the cooperation of the commission, the Sheriff's Department, the judges, the DA, the public defender, and everybody involved. It does help. I do have it on good authority that the hardened criminals are avoiding Caddo Parish. Steve Prater told me that. Not going to come down I-49 from Arkansas or in through I-20. So we feel better about all of that. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I hope you appreciate me coming here and talking with you when I'm not asking for money or more employees and things of that nature. But I'll be glad to answer any questions if any of you have any questions about what's going on at the courthouse.
Commissioner Epperson?
District Attorney Scott, I'd just like to commend you on being a hands-on DA. You know, oftentimes people think of, say, a district attorney, a person in the office, in the Sheriff Department, Sheriff Prater's group is very cooperative too. When we have community meetings, you all are always there, or you send a representative. And I think what that does, it gives a relationship, and it helps people to have integrity and trust. And they say, well, hey, the DA is just like I am. And I think it causes them to cooperate more with law enforcement. So we appreciate you being a hands-on district attorney. We appreciate Sheriff Prater and his deputies being hands-on. They're always in the community. Anytime you invite them to anything, if you all aren't able to be there, you send a representative. So that means a lot. And I'd also like to mention too, Mr. Wilson, you know, we also invite Chief,
Yes.
the Chief to be here too.
Yes, sir, we
The
did.
Chief will be coming here and give us a report on the city's crime at some point in time.
Right, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Next item, Ms. Clerk.
Want to
point out under communiques and committee reports, we have 4 individuals who their term will be expiring on the Industrial Development Board.
Thank you so much.
And I think we kind of combined the reports and communiques. I don't know if there are any others. Next, we have President's Report.
Nothing. I don't have anything.
We have no old business. We move to new business.
I have a question, Madam President. When will we reappoint the people on the Industrial Development Board?
The term expires on August 22nd.
I understand. So do we have it scheduled to reappoint and make new appointments?
At this time, no.
No. Okay.
Go do it.
When?
Thursday?
You got time to
We'll do it at the next
meeting?
second week of it.
Okay.
We can do it. If we do nothing, they just roll over until we do something.
That's
Oh,
correct.
okay.
Next, we move to new business, authorized introduction of ordinance number 5330 of 2013 to amend the operating capital budget for 2013 to appropriate $7.5 million to provide for the funds to the Industrial Development Board to purchase the GM plant.
So move to Thursday.
Been moved by Commissioner Escaday, second by Commissioner Williams. Any discussion, Commissioner do either one of you all have any discussion?
I'll save all mine for Thursday.
Okay. Commissioner
Along the agenda.
Johnson?
Yeah, I just want to say I missed the committee meeting Friday, and there were some questions that I wanted to ask based upon the term sheet that I saw. So I kind of created about 7 questions for Dr. Wilson and Rugg to kind of go over. Really won't go over all of them, but basically just highlighting some of them is why did we set up a 25-year lease as opposed to the purchase? And why are the lease payments low over the course of the term? Why are we transferring the equipment to the IDB and it has liens against it? If there's a default on the loan on the equipment, what happens to the equipment? Who is responsible? Who said on the terms of the agreement on behalf of the Caddo Parish Commission and the citizens of Caddo Parish to get the best terms for the parish and not just to get the deal done? Any money that is paid through the lease, does it go to any other parish entities? For example, the school board, sheriff's office, stuff like that. Then there was 2 back-end credits. Wanted to kind of get an understanding on those because based upon a scenario that I kind of put together, not including interest and the repayment based on the first credit in a 4-year term, basically we will have put out $7.5 million and pretty much received 0 based upon certain credits. Using a scenario of 1,500 employees with an average salary of $35,000 would be a tax credit of about $1.82 million a year based on 4 years credit. That's $7.28 million. So that would only be $220,000 toward the principal. There would be about $1.625 million that would be paid on the lease side. So you're looking at $1.845 million over the first 4 years if everything is up and running with 1,500 employees with an average salary of $35,000, and that was just kind of using some rough numbers. And that's plus, not including the interest, but also minus the other part of the sublease in it with RG. So kind of wanted to see exactly why some of that happened over the last couple of days. And I had these questions, so it'll be easy to get to you.
All that today?
No, I need these answers in 14 days before we vote.
That's not a problem, Commissioner. Well, I'll be working with you. If you just give me the questions, I'll be happy to discuss it with you and where appropriate, give you written answers.
I appreciate that.
That's right.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes, I'm good.
In written answer, if you could also CC me, though I do know the answers to some of them. In the last day, I have fielded several questions, several phone calls from area commercial real estate agents as to does any particular commercial real estate broker have a foot in the door over anybody else due to somebody showing up at a meeting yesterday which was open to the public and open for everybody, including every single commercial real estate agent in the community to attend. If there is a commercial real estate agent who would like to do business with Stuart Lickner, I encourage you to contact Stuart Lickner. The parish, if this actually falls through or goes or follows course, we will be working with Stuart Lickner, and then there is space available after what is rented out to whoever they choose to rent out to, and they may or may not be using a local agency to do that. And that is all going to be private, and the government is not going to have anything to do with that. And so if you are a private real estate agent, I personally suggest you contact Stuart Lichtner as far as working a contract with them to supply the available space left over. Anyway, thank you. That's all, Madam President.
Is it finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Escaday? You.
I understand some people missed the meeting, and I believe that their concerns and questions can be answered. Most of those of you who were at the meeting know that their questions were already answered and discussed. I can only speak personally that I'm very comfortable with this. We're not talking about acquiring an asset at its market value or below its market value or its estimated value or its assessed value. We're talking about acquiring something below its salvage value and having the opportunity to create something. The city economic development entity, if there is one, does nothing to create any jobs. As we've discussed today, I think most of you know, the chamber doesn't do anything. Nobody leads around here. And I know everybody has a different opinion on it. This is a no-brainer. If I had $7.5 million in cash right now, me personally, I'd have done this thing already. Because, the risk is gone, And my question to you is, how can you do nothing and hope that something's going to happen when we can do something that's virtually risk-free and have the opportunity to create some decent jobs and a $75 million payroll? And that's what we're talking about. And if, in essence, this plant gets paid for by tax credits, which is 3.5% of every $1 million, if you look at it that way, by creating that $75 million payroll, and then, in addition to the possible payroll that could, what I believe will be created with the rest of the facility out there that's unused, and that's reoccurring year after year, then that's just a no-brainer. So I mentioned to some of you the other day, we're at a disadvantage to a particular like Texas, and they're growing so bad. The Tyler, Texas Chamber of Commerce receives $8 to $10 million, their economic development entity, every year through a special tax, and all they do is buy businesses. They say, oh, you want to hire 200 people? We'll give you a check for $10 million to help get your little thing started. And they do it all the time, and it's just the way the world works. We're not talking about buying businesses or gambling. What we're talking about is buying an asset that we control.
Below salvage value.
Below salvage value. And with the land. And with the minerals, and that's an undetermined, but there's a factor. But that's not really what we're talking about. We really don't want to be in the real estate business. We want to create some value-added, quality jobs here and create the opportunity to expand and spin off some other jobs. The state can't do it this cheap. Nobody will do it. This will be the biggest deal that we could ever do. The least amount of investment per quality job created that I've ever heard of. As you know, how many times have we sat in meetings and people come to us, I'm this entity and I hire these much people. I'll set up shop here and create 200 jobs, but I want this, and this. By the time you run the math, you go, we're going to pay what? $50,000 a piece for a $120,000 a year job? That's ridiculous. This is not what we're talking about. And whether that property gets developed or not. Developed or not. We'll take an asset and put it on our books that is worth more than we paid for it the day we pay for it. And land is one of the few things, and what's underneath that ground that are probably is more solid than the federal government because they're printing money that they don't have. That asset doesn't go away. So basically, nobody else is doing anything for economic development. Nobody else is leading around here. This is a golden opportunity that's evolved, that's just fallen into our lap because as most of you remember when they first talked about GM closing, we were going around, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? How are we going to place those jobs? Finally we said, hey, we'll buy the plant. But that wasn't the mission at the time of the race or trust. That wasn't on their list. So, no, you can't buy the plant. The state can't buy the plant. They found another avenue. We'd have bought it and probably paid $15 million for it 2 years ago. Most of you know that, if we could have. So, I understand being cautious, but I've been cautious enough and done my due diligence enough to know that if we don't do this, I'm not going to be able to live with myself. Because we will let the people of this parish down. It's not drama, Stephanie. It's not drama.
Definitely won't vote against it now.
It's about helping people out and doing something for us.
Are you finished?
It's about doing something for them.
Oh, my God.
Well, other than being I'm not trying to be a drama queen. I'm just trying to, I think, speak to the point of how important this is. And secondly, we hadn't had this opportunity that's ever come along. This is a tremendous opportunity. And I promise you, any of you up here that don't get it, you never lost anything. Probably ain't made a whole lot either, but you haven't lost anything. And trust me, I've done both.
Likewise.
Thank you.
We do have Bruce Rasher here from Racial Trust too. So after you all finish speaking, then I'm gonna let him come up and talk. Commissioner Thibodeau?
My concerns have been covered. My concerns have been covered.
Okay, Commissioner Williams.
Let me just say for the record, I agree with all been said at the meeting. I was there, and I'm going to look out for the best interest of all citizens of Caddo Parish, especially the one in my district that are striving and dying to have jobs. And many of the people that was misplaced or laid off worked at General Motors, live in my district. There is no cloud of leadership over Caddo Parish. There's sunshine over Caddo Parish. We're open for business. And what Racial Trust and this partnership, this relationship has done, it gave people some hope. Give them opportunity. There's a time to lead and there's a time to follow. People don't want excuses, they want solutions to the problem. And we have to make tough decisions and live with it. If you can't make tough decisions, you're in the wrong business. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But I'm glad to know that in that meeting, some of the questions I asked was local people going to be employed? Was local contractors going to be used? Was minority contractors going to have an opportunity to bid on contracts? Some of those answers was answered. I depend a lot on this administration and these attorneys. If they can't tell us we in something good, we don't need them. That's why we got them. If they allowed us to do a bad deal, it means we hired the wrong people. That's just real talk. These are the experts, and these are what they call the bureaucrats in their field that tell us when we in some good and some bad. We make wise decisions based on what they tell us. We got some of the best competent administrative staff in America. Man, I always agree with them, but they're very competent. I found, look, we just had a high Moody bond rate. We just got another award. Especially she must know what she's doing. We got a PhD at the helm. They must know what they're doing and will do what's best for this parish. If something would happen, we can run this parish 5 years without anything. Is that right? So I would say that we don't need to, we need to be proactive. We don't need to be holding progress back. And this is a win-win, not only for them, but for us and the future. We're talking about retaining our children and giving people an opportunity to graduate from college to work. Everybody's not college bound. Some people are not college material. This is a good apprenticeship for people to get a job, have an opportunity, and live the American dream, and provide for their families. You know, General Motors has been the backbone of America. We're trying to bounce back. Even though Congress didn't bail them out here, we're trying to help them out here and bounce back the car industry here in Caddo Parish. Put more tax dollars back on the car. People can buy homes, buy cars, pay their tithes at church, feel good about themselves, and won't be committing crimes. Because everybody wants a piece of the American dream. They want a job. So this would be foolish not to do a deal like this. And we're going to make sure that the people that stay here and paid the taxes and kept us afloat have an opportunity to do business with Elio Motors. And I just say I want to ken the E.E. brothers, Ken Epperson and Commissioner Escaday for the work they've done. E.E. brothers. Epperson and Escaday. For the work they've done and the time and energy they spent and get this project here. They spend a lot of their own time, a lot of time, their resources, and we don't even have an economic development team. But look what the team of two have came together for what's in the best interest of people of Caddo Parish. It's very diverse and it's very inclusive. And I say we should move forward, full steamroll ahead, and let's keep moving forward. Thank you, Captain.
Amen.
E.E. Brothers.
Let's call for the question on the motion, please.
We have a motion, calling for the question, second.
Second.
We need to vote on calling for the question.
E.E. Brothers. Y'all like that.
You just, as impromptu, you just pop in your head all of a sudden like that.
All the time. I don't need that.
You don't need a script, do you?
No.
Come on, Michelle.
Michael threw her off. I threw y'all when I said E.E. Brothers. LLC.
I always thought y'all were salt and pepper.
Okay.
We're there? Okay, we're there.
No. You got to do it that one. That's a good one.
Yes. Please vote.
We did.
No, we
Voting
vote
for call the question.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to say my speech for Thursday, but it was too juicy.
You wouldn't have remembered it by Thursday anyway.
You repeat yourself, man.
Yeah, he's gonna.
We'll have rewind.
Yeah, rewind.
He'd have forgotten it. All right.
Oh, he gonna have something else.
I had to write my sermons in my mind, you know.
That's all it is.
Commissioner.
Do it while you
Bowman,
still got
you
one.
did that orders Thursday. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5331 of 2013 to amend the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund and Oil and Gas Fund for the year 2013 to provide appropriation of $300,000 for the architectural design of the Caddo Common.
Don't move for Thursday.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Escaday. Are there any discussion? If none, please.
You got some.
Oh, Commissioner Cox.
No, I was gonna call
That
for the
was
question.
called, okay.
You want
Call for this question?
You want me to preach?
Please vote.
One of the EE brothers beat me out.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize introduction of ordinance 5332 of 2013 declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and authorize special administrator.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Lynn, second by Commissioner Dominic. Are there any discussion? If none, please vote. Too juicy.
To what?
Too juicy. That passes. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5333 of 2013, amend the Caddo Parish Code of Ordinances to amend and reenact section 2-30 thereof to authorize commissioners and their dependents to participate in group insurance.
So moved Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lynch, second by Commissioner Bowman. Are there any discussion? None, please vote. That passes.
Authorize resolution number 39 of 2013, authorizing the parish administrator to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement pertaining to funding the acquisition of the property commonly known as General Motors Assembly Plant.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lynn.
Lynn?
Second by Commissioners
E.E. together.
E.E. and Williams.
Unison.
Are there
Sound like
any
a law
discussion?
firm.
If none, please vote.
Confirm.
He does? Okay. That passes.
Authorize resolution number 40 of 2013, adopt a citizen participation plan for the LCDBG programs.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Lynch, second by Commissioner
Dominic.
Dominic. What is this? I have a question about this. What is
Have to
this?
do it every year.
This is the start of the process of the LCBG process, where we have the community participate in the next round of grant process.
Okay.
Well done, roll.
Same as it's been the last 9 years.
Please vote, okay. Train part of stuff.
You ain't gotta take that, Madam President.
I'm not thinking
You
about
can't tell them to shut up.
It's that pipe.
He is out of order.
It's that pipe.
That's right, my crack pipe.
Ready to vote?
We've been gone so long, we got to use
Oh,
it
you're
quick.
sitting next to you.
There you go.
Wait. There we go.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize resolution number 41 of 2013, amending the rules and bylaws of the Caddo Parish Commission, Article 12, travel policy.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lynch, second by Commissioner Epperson. Are there any discussions?
Yes, there will be a meeting immediately following this meeting quickly on this, but I want to get it moved to Thursday.
What time? Now, I'm, you
Right
know,
after this meeting, we're not gonna be done.
We'll work it out.
Also, this will lay over for 2 weeks before it's voted on.
Right.
Okay,
It takes 2/3.
please vote. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize resolution number 42 of 2013, final acceptance of state project number 713-09-0022H, control section number 09 regarding bridge guardrail improvements on Sparks Davis Road.
Move to Thursday.
second.
Been
Whatever.
moved by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Lynn. Are there any discussion? If none, please vote. That passes. Next item.
Authorize resolution number 43 of 2013, urging United States Congress to support the Youth Promise Act.
So moved.
Second.
Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Lynch. Any discussion? None, please vote.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Can we get a copy of what the Youth
Yeah.
Promise Act
They're
is?
gonna give it to them.
Okay.
Make sure they get it hot.
You want the resolution or you want the full act from Congress?
Just a synopsis of it is
Yeah,
fine.
give them the resolution.
You can click on the blue on your screen. Should give it to you.
Hold me for a comment at the end of the meeting.
Thank the school board, man. What do you
Commissioner Bowman? Oh,
My computer screen.
okay. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize resolution number 44 of 2013, urging United States Congress to support the Freedom to Pray Act.
Do you need a thumb for that one?
No, I can just pop on the blue there.
Move it Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Escaday. Commissioner Thibodeau?
Oh, I was just gonna say, when Double E was working on General Motors, the reason that other people weren't recognized is because John was doing all the talking. It just seemed like there wasn't anybody else in the room. But I want you to know the subcontracting operation of Thibodeau and Baker were there at every meeting.
T&B, huh? You said sub, is it subcontract or subservient? Tee it up.
Please vote.
Well, they gonna say, they having too much fun up there. What's going on? When you got money, you can do that.
Can't have fun
Next
sometimes.
item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize special resolution of recognition for Swag Nation staff and volunteers.
So move!
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Epperson. Is there any discussion?
Say,
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Mike, I had one of the Red Bulls before I came.
At least one.
Please vote.
They'll be able to make a presentation.
Okay, before we just move for adjourn, want to let Mr. Bruce Rasher come up from Rates of Trust.
Thank you, Madam President. Commissioners, I just wanted to thank the commissioners and staff, Charles Grubb in particular, and Woody Wilson, for the hard work that you've undertaken so far to participate in capturing what I think can be a significant economic development opportunity for Caddo Parish. And I'd be delighted to answer any questions that you may have. I will be here on Thursday as you deliberate. If you want to hold your questions till then or in the intervening time, please either through Madam President or through Charles Grubb, be delighted to help. But thank you again. Racer Trust appreciates the partnership that we've formed here.
Thank you too so much.
And Bruce, we would not have paid $15 million for it.
Move adjourned.
Thank you.
E&E, what y'all
Personnel
doing,
meeting in the
man?
back.
What y'all next project? Hey, Keith, what y'all next, E&E, what y'all next?
March Wade.
I mean, I remember seeing it, I just don't have.
March Wade. That's our next project.
Wait a minute. No.
Thank you so much.
Hey, man. Hey, don't you wish you had permission to get
Hey, who's the
I would say you want to be in town